Good morning. I am going to record this video, and this is on practice volume of cylinders with spiral. And Miss Magana is still not feeling very well, so you're going to have to deal with good old Miss Boys. So we are going to make sure that I am on a focused lock. It doesn't look too pretty, but I think that's going to be about the best picture that I get at this point. So I'm going to focus lock that. I just want to make sure that we've gone over our learning goal today. Our goal is that you can use the formula for the volume of a cylinder to solve problems. We are going to be using our formula charts today, so I hope you have them out. It says in this practice that you must show your work on a separate notebook paper. We are not going to make you do that, but you must show all your steps in order to receive credit, and I'm going to show you an example of what those steps are right now. Please reset your calculators at this point, making sure that they are clear. You know that that is your second plus 712. Okay, and make sure it says RAM clear on it. So then you hit second and quit, and we can get started. Okay, so practice volume of cylinders with spiral. And I'm just going to quickly go over. This video is not going to be very long. It says to round our answers to the nearest tenth. Okay, so first step is always to look on your formula chart. I hope you have that big B written on your formula chart and that you're remembering to do that. We have a volume of a cylinder. It is V equals big BH, so we do have a big B. Remember that a cylinder has a base, actually two bases that are circles, so we substitute. Big B represents the area of the base of a prism, okay? The area of the base of the prism. So the area formula for a circle is pi times r squared. So we're going to substitute that in for big B. All right, so the first step is going to be V equals big BH. Then we are going to substitute our area of the base formula, which is a circle. That is pi times r squared. And then we still need to multiply that times the height of the prism. Okay, so that is the second step, to write that. The third step would be to plug in your numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and do that today. I identify them on, here is my R, here is my H on my prism. So I have pi times r squared, which is 6 squared, times 14. Now, remember that this said to round it to the nearest tenth. You can do that all on your own. That is fine. Or if you can teach yourself to do this, you can go on your calculator and hit mode. And right now I'm on normal and I'm on float. Okay, float means it's going to give you all those decimals out so that you can see whether this number is an irrational or repeating decimal, irrational, rational. You can see all those things on here. What we want, 0 will give you only whole numbers. 1 gives you to the nearest tenth. It will round it automatically for you. So we're going to go down and we are going to highlight 1, let it flash on it, and hit enter. And hit second and quit and get out of that mode. So when we put this in, we are going to hit second and pi times 6 and the squared. Uh-oh, I hit the wrong button. I'm so sorry. No, I didn't. I did okay. 6 squared times 14. Okay? And then we're going to hit enter, and it's going to automatically round that answer for us. If I didn't have it on mode 1, it would give me decimals going out. And so this is just a handy way if you can teach yourself to remember to put it on 1 when you need to the nearest tenth. It will automatically round for you. So I've done one problem for you here. I do want to remind you that you do need a radius, which is halfway across the circle, not a diameter, which is all the way across the circle. If you have a diameter and are given a diameter, remember that to find the radius, you take the diameter, and what do you do to it? Think about that and write that down. I hope you wrote divided by 2 equals radius. Okay? All right, so make sure you've done all these steps because you will not receive credit. It's an automatic 50% if you have not shown your work. Okay? Let's go to the next page. This says for questions 8 through 11, solve for x. Round your answers to the nearest hundredths place. Okay? So this time, I'm going to, and when you finish, when you have your calculator rounded, you should always clear it. So I would have done at this point second plus 712 and cleared my RAM. So now I'm going, that clears all your settings. I am going to go and show you how you can get the calculator to round it to the nearest hundredths place for you. If you'll hit that mode button again, and we're on float, 1 was tenths, 2 is hundredths. So we're going to go down and we're going to go over to 2. We're going to let it flash on 2. Please do this with me. And we're going to hit enter. Then we're going to hit second and quit. So now my calculator is set up to round to the nearest hundredths. Okay, and what I'm going to do here is also show you that when you put these in your calculator, the calculator, first off, I hole punched mine, and so some of them you can see the 2 and some of them you can't. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this problem here for you. It is 28 take away r divided by 11 is equal to -3. That is number 8. So if yours is not showing you all the answers, please write that down. Okay? Now, if you did not have that set on rounding, or I'm sorry, that's not what I'm talking about here. We need to know that our calculator will automatically use PEMDAS. So if I was to do this and just put it straight into the calculator, if I was to put in 28 minus r divided by 11 in the calculator, remember that PEMDAS says do parentheses, then exponents, then multiplication and division left to right, then addition and subtraction left to right. Well, we have a division. So this calculator, if we did not tell it what we want it to do, would first divide r by 11, then it would subtract that answer from 28. But what this problem wants us to do is subtract r from 28, then divide that number by 11. So what we need to do is to tell it to do that. First off, we're going to go and set our mode. I'm sorry, we're going to set our windows. And remember, I hope you remember how to set your windows, so please do that. If you don't remember, let me quickly remind you to do -100 and then 100 and then your y minimum, because a minimum is a -100, and then maximum is 100. Then to get out of this screen, hit second and quit. Go to your y equals button. What we need to do here to tell it to subtract r from 28 before it divides by 11 is we are going to put that top in parentheses. So we're going to do 28 subtract x, and we use x for everything with this calculator that has a variable. And we're going to close those parentheses, then tell it to divide that by 11. Okay? Now remember, you use the subtract key when you're in between things. Use the negative key when you're out in front of something. So I'm going to go down to y2, and I'm going to put this side of my equation in by putting -3. Then the next step is to hit graph, and you're going to wait for a couple of lines here. And I know my calculator, it's really hard to see the lines because I have a thick crossbar, but I did get 2 lines. So then you hit second, trace, and I want the intersection, so 5, and I want not the first curve, so I'm going to hit enter, not the second curve, I'm going to hit enter. I don't want to guess at this, I want the actual answer. So here we go, intersection. So you hit enter 3 times, and I get x is equal to 61. Okay, now, if I had a decimal for this answer, it would automatically round it to the hundredths place. Okay, so you always want to do that when they're asking you to round. You either need to round it manually or you need to set your calculator to do that. So the hundredths is setting it at 2, the tenths is setting it at 1. Okay, let's look at number 12. Number 12 says these triangles are similar right triangles. Which proportion can be used to show? People get intimidated on this. This is like the second most missed question. So it's wanting UW first. So we're going to put UW over here and WY over here. Well, UW is the big one. Okay, and all you're going to do is rise over run. Then WY is the small one. I'm sorry. So all you're going to do is rise over run there. All of you can count rise over run by now. Okay, all you're wanting to make sure is to check to see is that line positive or negative. The other thing I'm going to remind you about is if you get a negative over a negative number, remember that a negative divided by a negative gives you a positive. So if I had positive up here, but I get a negative over a negative down in here, that means that actually that answer would be positive. And here it's as simple as you don't do this all at once. Second and quit. I'm going to do 1 subtract 2, and I'm going to hit enter, and it gives me -1. Now do you see my calculator right now is set on mode 2? I'm going to go back and I'm just going to reset my whole calculator. Second plus 712, and it reset it. So now when I put in clear 1 subtract 2, it just gives me that whole number -1, okay, without those decimal points after. And so then I'd put in 9 subtract 8, and it would give me 1. So I have -1 over 1. So I have a negative over a positive. Then you just do this side, and you say, does this match this? If it does, then you would check this side. If it doesn't, then you don't even need to bother to go on. Don't even bother to check this side, because this side has to match this side of the equal sign. This equation has to match this side, and this side has to match that. Last thing I'm going to remind you about. Which of the following situations is not a proportional situation? Please get in the habit of writing the word not. When you write it, you won't forget it. Okay? You won't get it wrong. So please write the word not. And remember that to be a proportional situation, it must only have the operation of multiplication. So in a not situation, you're looking for the situation to have some other operation. It may have multiplication also, but you're going to have either adding or subtracting included in that situation. So you may be multiplying and adding, or multiplying and subtracting. So you're looking for that one when it's not. If it is proportional, you're only going to have multiplication. The last thing I'm going to tell you today, and I know that this video has been pretty quick, and that's okay, you've been doing this, is if you write the word pink on the front, we'll get you some extra credit. That's Miss Magana's favorite color. Have a great day. When you finish this, there is a quizzes available for you to do. Please go and take care of doing that.